Well, I think the story starts with what I'm doing right now, which is I'm the executive director of the Army Heritage Center Foundation. We're the Friends Group for the U.S. Army Heritage Education Center here in Carlisle. It's a facility dedicated to preserve the memories of soldiers and their families, honoring their service, and really educating both the public and the Army on what soldiers have done across time.
Ladies and gentlemen, all night long bulletins have been pouring in from Berlin claiming that D-Day is here. Heavy fighting is taking place between the Germans and invasion forces on the Normandy Peninsula.
It's dawn, and Alpha Troop 19 is commuting to war. 21 GIs bound for a jungle clearing a mile from the Cambodian border.
I came to this job largely after a 28-year Army career. I am a son of an Army officer. My father was a draftee during World War II, served a full career. When he retired, his influence and that of my mom got me to apply to the military academy, and I entered West Point in 1970. Graduating 1974, and I was commissioned as an infantry officer. I always was interested in history. It was something that I carried with me for the rest of my Army career. And then in typical style, in 2002, the Army said it's time to retire. So I retired, and then in 2005, I was asked to do an interview for the current job I'm in, the director of the Army Heritage Center Foundation. We serve a number of audiences. The audience that I spend more of my time focusing is the public. That's the grandparent with grandkids, the young family looking for something to do on a weekend. I-81 is right outside here, and 65,000 vehicles a day pass our front door, and people drive and they see the helicopter on the stick. And they want to say, what is that? And they come. And they use this as an educational institution for their family. Then we have a separate audience, which is the academic historians, and that's really the ones who delve into the archival facilities. Rick Atkinson has spent a lot of time in here.
When I was researching my last trilogy on the Second World War and the American role in the liberation of Europe, I was here. I made 69 research trips here, usually for 2 or 3 days at a time. And along with the National Archives in College Park, Maryland, this is the most important place in the world for what I was doing, and I'll always be grateful for the extraordinary help I got from the wonderful professionals who work here and over at the War College.
His World War II trilogy used this collection extensively because he could go in there and to show the detailed planning that the Army did during the World War II. And so we support an academic audience too. We support family historians. Quite often, parents don't tell their kids what they've done. In fact, my father never really explained what he did during World War II. My father was First Wave Omaha Beach, was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross. Never really explained what he did. I found in this archival facility here his unit history, which would explain he was one of the demo teams that went in on the first wave on D-Day. I would not have known that except for this collection here. So we are able to connect generations of our citizens and the public to what their grandfather did and now what their grandma's done. In January 2020, we were transitioning and growing much larger. So in January, we were looking to a very bright future, and then COVID hit.
Earlier this week, I mandated all restaurants and bars close their dine-in facilities and offer only to-go options. And I asked all non-essential businesses to close.
And the Army closed the facility to the public. So we had to very rapidly transition. How do we continue to provide services to the public? And how do we continue our outreach efforts so others know what we're doing here and what we're trying to do here?
I'm Mike Perham, the Executive Director of the Army Heritage Center Foundation, and we're pleased to have you join us tonight for an interesting talk.
So we went to online teacher programs. During the early days of the pandemic, we were hosting lectures almost twice a week.
It's our privilege tonight to host General David Petraeus. Thank you, and now I'll turn the floor over to Tom Ricks.
So we did a massive transition. So it's a program that's allowed us to outreach across the country. I mean, before, if we did a resident in-person interview, we maybe had people within a 50-mile radius. Now I have folks out of California, we've had folks out of Europe, Australia attend some of our lectures. I've been able to bring in a much more diverse group of lecturers.
Tonight we have an interesting talk, one that doesn't quite often get as much publicity nationwide that it should. And we have Colonel Eugene Frederick Scott as our speaker.
So we've been able to draw a much more diverse group of lecturers, but also a much more diverse audience.
Colonel Scott, the floor is now yours.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. It really is a pleasure and an opportunity to be able to talk about the 370th Infantry Regiment out of Chicago. This unit was the only all-black unit, combat unit, to fight in World War I.
I'm 68, so I didn't grow up with an iPad in one hand and an iPhone in the other. I did grow up with computers ever since the Army introduced them back in the late 80s.
And let me thank you once again for being such a great classmate. Thanks, Mike. Clearly, all that we have ever achieved in life is because of our 4 years where we were privileged to be together with the members of the Pride of the Corps 74.
It's not my legacy. I've been privileged to serve the Army and its soldiers. In a sense, that's my legacy.